I'd always craved solitude, so when my friend Lena asked me to watch her cabin in Pine Hollow while she and her family took a spring break trip, I jumped at it. "Just look after Sage," she'd said, nodding at her wiry gray cat. "She's chill, but storms spook her, and the weather's turning ugly." A weekend alone, deep in the woods, sounded perfect. On Friday, March 14th, 2025, I tossed a bag in my car and drove 2 hours north, the asphalt fading to gravel as pines swallowed the horizon. The air was heavy, ripe with the promise of rain. Lena's cabin was a low, rough-hewn box perched at the end of a rutted path. No neighbors for miles, just trees and silence. Inside, it smelled of pine sap and damp earth. Sage slunk out to sniff my boots before disappearing into the gloom. I dropped my stuff on a lumpy couch, brewed tea on the gas stove, and settled in as the first raindrops pattered the tin roof. By nightfall, the storm had claws, thunder growling, wind clawing at the shingles. Sage didn't care. She sprawled on a rug, eyes half closed, unfazed. Saturday dawned bleak, the sky a bruise of gray. The power held, though the lights buzzed faintly. I spent the morning curled up with a paperback, the storm's rhythm a dull comfort. Around noon, the phone rang. A clunky corded thing on the kitchen counter, not rotary but old, with a scratched-up caller ID box wired beside it. Lena must have added it years back. The screen flashed, "Unknown caller." I hesitated, then let it ring out. No message, just silence. A fluke, I figured. Wrong number, bad connection. But 15 minutes later, it rang again. Same display, "Unknown caller." This time, the answering machine kicked in, its red light blinking. A man's voice crackled through, soft and slow. "Lena." A beat, 3 seconds of static that gnawed at me. Then a click. My gut twisted. He'd said her name like he expected her to answer, like he knew her. I grabbed my cell to text her. Some guy called the house phone, weird vibe. But the screen mocked me. No service, not a single bar. The storm, the trees, the distance, it had cut me off. I swallowed the unease. Maybe a relative, an ex? Still, that voice. It stuck, a burr in my brain. The calls didn't stop. 2 more over the next few hours. Always unknown caller, always silent after that first message. I busied myself boiling pasta, the hiss of the stove drowning the itch in my nerves. By dusk, the storm raged harder. Rain lashing the windows, wind screaming through the gaps. I decided to hunker down in the bedroom upstairs, a narrow space with a sagging bed and a tiny TV. A corded phone sat on the nightstand, an extension of the kitchen line, its coiled cord tangled. Handy, I thought. I popped in a scratched DVD of some 80s thriller and tried to unwind. Halfway through, I remembered Sage's food. Downstairs, the cabin felt colder, shadows pooling in the corners. Sage stood at the front door, stiff as a statue, staring at the crack beneath it. Not moving, not blinking, just watching. "Sage?" I croaked. She flicked her eyes to me, sharp, fleeting, then back to the door. My scalp prickled. Something was off. I edged closer, the storm's howl masking my steps, and peered through the door's foggy peephole. The porch blurred into smears of gray, railing, trees, rain, then a shape. Tall, hazy, shifting just beyond the steps. My breath caught. A trick of the light? A deer? I stared, eyes burning, until it went still. But it was there. I felt it, heavy and wrong. Minutes dragged, 3, maybe 4, my heart slamming against my ribs. If someone was out there, they'd knock, right? They'd say something. I turned away, shaky, and filled Sage's bowls. the clink of kibble too loud. Passing the door again, she was gone, slipped off somewhere. I checked the peephole once more. The shape vanished. Had it ever been real? Doubt gnawed at me, but the dread stayed, thick as tar. Back upstairs, I locked the bedroom door and dragged Sage onto the bed. The movie flickered on, but every groan of the cabin made me jump. 30 minutes later, Sage tensed. She leapt down and padded to the door, eyes locked on the bottom crack. Same as before. My stomach lurched. "Sage," I whispered, voice cracking. She didn't flinch, just stared, rigid. I slid off the bed, knees weak, and pressed my ear to the wood. Nothing but the storm's dull roar. Then I crouched, peering under the gap. Boots, black, wet, inches away. My body recoiled, a yelp choking out. Someone was out there. I snapped the lock, already bolted, thank God, and grabbed the phone on the nightstand. My cell still read, "No service." Useless, no bars, no emergency signal in this dead zone. I punched 911 on the landline, voice trembling as I spilled it all. "There's someone in the house. They're outside my door. Please, hurry." The operator's calm cut through. "Stay put. We're coming, but Pine Hollow's far. Hold tight." Footsteps thudded then, fast, retreating down the stairs. Silence swallowed the house again. I wedged a chair under the knob, clutching Sage, her fur damp with my sweat. The cops took an hour. 2 deputies in dripping coats, boots clomping. They swept the cabin, the yard, the woods. Nothing. No tracks, no signs. The rain had erased it all. "Burner phone," one said, squinting at the caller ID box. "Can't trace it. Could be a prank. Or worse." I showed them my cell, still dead, no chance of a call-out. They nodded, grim. Lena got my text Sunday when she hit signal range. "I don't know that voice," she sobbed over the phone. "No one should have called there." She cut her trip short, moved Sage to her mom's, listed the cabin, but the calls keep coming. She says the phone rings. Unknown caller. No one on the line. Last night she sent me a photo. The front door's peephole fogged up, a tall blur in the frame. She didn't see it when she snapped it. And me? I dream of those boots and wonder if they followed me to my home. It was late November 2024 when my life unraveled. The layoffs hit my marketing firm like a guillotine. Budget cuts, they said. Nothing personal. I walked out with a severance check and a sinking feeling, but I had enough saved to coast for a few months. My apartment in Eastside Heights, a boxy third-floor walk-up in a tired brick building, became my bunker. For weeks, I hunched over my laptop, scouring job boards, LinkedIn, Indeed, the usual suspects. Nothing. 2 weeks in, desperation crept up my spine. I'd applied to dozens of gigs, sales, admin, anything, and heard crickets. My inbox was a graveyard of unread rejections. One gray afternoon, I stumbled onto a shadier site, some off-brand job aggregator I'd never heard of, all clunky fonts and pop-up ads. Still, it had listings the big platforms didn't. I fired off resumes to a handful, including one for a customer outreach associate with a decent salary. No company name, just a vague blurb about flexible hours and team spirit. That evening, my email pinged. A guy named Derek, short for nothing, just Derek, said he was the hiring manager. "Schedule's tight," he wrote. "Can you interview tonight? 8 p.m. sharp. Address attached." No pleasantries, no Zoom link, just a street name, 47 Juniper Lane, and a clipped, "See you then." I balked. Tonight? No prep time? No chance to Google the place? But the pay, $65K benefits dangled like bait. I couldn't let it slip. Showing up on a dime might impress him, I reasoned. I threw on a blazer, grabbed my keys, and drove across town, the city fading into a sprawl of warehouses and sodium-lit streets. Juniper Lane dead-ended at a squat, one-story building. Peeling paint, no signage, just 47, stenciled in faded black above a steel door. The lot was empty. Not a car in sight. I pulled in at 7:45, headlights sweeping over cracked asphalt and a dumpster overflowing with trash bags. Every window was dark. My stomach churned. I double-checked the email, 47 Juniper Lane, no typo. Google Maps confirmed it, but the listing was blank. No business name, no reviews, just a pin on a gray square. I dialed Derek's number from the email, straight to voicemail, a generic robot voice. Leave a message. I tried twice more. Nothing. The air felt thick, the silence louder than it should have been. At 8:15, I cut my losses. No lights, no people, no interview. Sketchy didn't cover it. I sped home, fuming at the wasted gas, and vowed to stick to legit sites. Whatever Derek's deal was, wrong address, prank, scam, I was done wondering. I cracked a beer, sank into my couch, and flipped on the TV, the hum of a sitcom drowning my frustration. I had no job, no schedule, so I let the night stretch. Around 10 p.m., a sound pricked my ears, a faint creak from above, like a floorboard settling. My building was old. The upstairs tenant, Mrs. Ortiz, was a night owl. I brushed it off, but it kept happening. Every half hour or so, a slow, deliberate crack from the ceiling. I glanced out the window. No wind, no storm, just still, cold air. It didn't faze me much. Old places groan. By 11:30, my eyes drooped. I killed the TV, flicked off the lights, and trudged upstairs to my bedroom. A cramped space with a slanted ceiling and a single window overlooking the alley. I collapsed into bed, the mattress sagging under me, and passed out fast. Then, I was awake, no groggy fade-in, just eyes wide open in the dark, heart thudding like I'd been shaken. The room was pitch black, the streetlight outside snuffed by heavy clouds. That creak again, closer now, sharper, somewhere inside the room. I held my breath, ears straining. Then, a new sound, a soft, grating scrape, like wood dragging on wood. My head snapped toward the attic hatch. A square panel in the ceiling above my dresser latched shut, or so I'd thought. In the gloom, I saw it, edging open, inch by agonizing inch. I froze, lungs locked as the gap widened. A shadow shifted behind it, something lean, deliberate, leaning down. My body snapped alive. I rolled off the bed, snatched my phone, and bolted for the door. No signal flashed on the screen. Third floor dead zone. Always had been. I stumbled downstairs, barefoot, and dialed 911 from the kitchen cordless, voice shaking. "Someone's in my apartment. The attic. They're coming out." The operator's calm clipped through. "Stay outside if you can. Units are en route." I didn't think. Just ran to the front door, threw it open, and stood in the hallway, eyes glued to the stairwell. If they came down, I'd see them. Stupid, maybe. Reckless, definitely. But I couldn't let them vanish into the night. Minutes crawled. Headlights flared outside. 2 cops stormed in, guns drawn. I pointed upstairs, breathless. The attic hatch, he was there. They climbed, boots thudding, and I waited, pulse hammering. They found him. Curled in the attic, wedged between insulation and a rusted vent. A man, gaunt and wild-eyed, with matted hair and clothes reeking of sweat and mildew. He didn't fight, didn't speak, just stared as they cuffed him and hauled him out. I caught a glimpse as they shoved him into the cruiser. Pale skin stretched tight over sharp bones, lips cracked, eyes like black pits swallowing the light. I nearly gagged. The story unraveled fast. He'd been squatting up there. How long? No one knew. My resume, sent to Derek, gave him everything. Name, address, phone number. The job was a lure, one of hundreds he'd posted across sketchy sites, retail, tech, whatever hooked desperate people. He'd watched me leave for Juniper Lane, slipped in through a fire escape window I never locked, and hid. That night, he'd been there, feet above me, listening, waiting, while I drank my beer, watched my shows, slept. But why? That's the splinter under my skin. He wouldn't talk. Not to the cops, not to anyone. No weapons on him, no drugs, just a notebook crammed with names and addresses, mine among them, and cryptic scribbles, dates, times, question marks. Was he casing me? Stalking? Planning something worse? The cops couldn't charge him with much. Trespassing, fraud. So he's out there now, free, a ghost with my details etched in his mind. I moved. New city, new locks, new everything. But last week, my phone buzzed. An email from an unknown sender. No subject, just an address. 47 Juniper Lane. I didn't open it. I can't. Because sometimes, late at night, I hear it again. That creak, soft and slow, like something's still up there, watching. I've lived on Cutter's Plain for a decade now, a stretch of nowhere in northern Nebraska where the horizon is a flat, unbroken line of dirt and dead grass. My closest neighbor's a half-hour drive east, and the only pavement nearby is State Route 71, a faded ribbon of asphalt humming with semis a mile from my doorstep. The rest is gravel or mud, depending on the weather. I'm 47, retired early after cashing out a small trucking business, and I built this place, a low, sturdy house of cedar and steel, to get away from people. Most days, it's just me, the wind, and the quiet. March 17th, 2025 started like any other, until it didn't. Rain had pounded the plain for days, turning the soil to sludge and the air to a damp, earthy haze. I'd spent the morning tinkering in the kitchen, the hiss of a percolator cutting through the storm's drone. By noon, I needed a break. Grabbed a pack of Marlboros and stepped onto the front porch. The overhang kept me dry as I lit up, the smoke curling into the gray. I sat there, legs stretched on the railing, watching water pool in the ruts of my driveway, a narrow dirt track stretching south toward the highway. An hour slipped by, maybe more, the rhythm of the rain lulling me into a daze. Then, movement. Far down the track, a speck broke the emptiness. I squinted through the downpour. Flat land means you can see for miles, but the weather blurred the edges. It was a motorcycle, an off-road beast with knobby tires chewing through the mud. Odd, I thought. No one comes out here. The plain's a dead end. My house the only thing worth finding, and even then, you'd have to know it's here. I figured they'd veered off Route 71, mistaking my drive for some shortcut, but they kept coming, engine growling, closer, closer, until they rolled right up to my shed, 50 yards from the porch, and stopped. He was a shadow in the rain, tall, lean, clad in black gear, face hidden behind a full helmet. The bike idled, a low, throaty rumble, as he turned his head toward the house. Then he saw me. For a moment, he just stared, visor reflecting the wet gleam of my porch light. My cigarette dangled, ash dropping into the puddle at my feet. Before I could wave or shout, he gunned the engine, spun the bike, and tore back down the track. vanishing into the haze. Weird as hell. I chalked it up to a lost rider, someone too stubborn to ask for help. I stubbed out the smoke and stayed out there a while, the encounter fading as the wind picked up, driving me inside. The day crawled on. I brewed more coffee, its bitter steam warming the kitchen, and called my sister in Omaha. Small talk about her kids, the weather, nothing heavy. After, I napped on the couch, the rain a steady thrum against the windows. By 8 p.m., the storm turned feral, thunder cracking like gunfire, lightning slashing the dark. I was rinsing a mug when it hit me. That sound. Beneath the chaos, a faint, familiar growl. An engine. The engine. I dropped the mug, ceramic shards skittering across the tile, and rushed to the front window. A headlight pierced the fog, weaving up the driveway, slow and deliberate. My pulse kicked up. Why were they back? In this mess, night, rain, thunder, who rides out here twice? The light flickered closer, then went out. Just gone. I pressed my face to the glass, eyes straining. Nothing, no gleam, no shape, just blackness and the storm's roar. They hadn't reached the shed like before. Where the hell were they? Minutes ticked by. 5, 10, silence swallowing the engine's echo. I grabbed my Remington 870 from the hall closet, a pump action I kept loaded with buckshot. Out here, you don't call the sheriff for maybe, you handle it. Or you don't. Shotgun in hand, I moved from window to window, peering into the murk. The plain was a void, fog and rain choking every angle. I saw nothing until I hit the back window. A blur, fast, low, darted past the glass, swallowed by the haze before I could focus. My breath hitched. Someone was out there, circling. Then, footsteps. Wet, heavy slaps in the mud, right against the house. I lunged to the side window, gone. The front, nothing. They were moving, staying just out of sight, splashing through the muck like a predator stalking the walls. My hands shook, the shotgun's weight cold and real. This wasn't a lost traveler. No one circles a house in a storm with no light, no knock, no call for help. I flipped on every lamp, flooding the interior, hoping it'd scare them off. The footsteps stopped, then started again, slower, closer, under the kitchen window now. I crept over, barrel raised, and peeked through the blinds. A shadow loomed, tall, black-clad, helmet still on, pressed against the glass, visor inches from my face. I stumbled back, heart slamming as they slipped away, mud squelching under their boots. Enough. I bolted to the garage, keys jangling, and climbed into my F-150. The garage door rattled up, rain blasting in, and I peeled out, slamming it shut behind me. I swung the truck around, tires spinning in the slop, and parked 100 feet out, facing the house. High beams on, roof lights on, the whole damn place lit up like a stadium. And there he was, standing at the back window, frozen in the glare, a claw hammer gripped in his right hand. Black gear soaked, helmet glinting, he'd been prying at the frame, half the screen torn loose. For a split second he stared, caught, then ran. He sprinted to the side yard, where his bike lay tipped in the grass. No headlight, no noise, like he'd coasted in silence. He yanked it up, kicked it alive, and roared off, swallowed by the dark beyond my beams. I didn't chase. Couldn't. Not in that soup. I sat there, engine idling, shotgun across my lap, until dawn broke gray and bleak. Sleep never came. Next morning, I drove to Kimball, the nearest speck of a town, and filed a report with the sheriff's office. They took it seriously. Hammer, prowling, intent. But the rain had erased tire tracks, footprints, everything. No plate number, no face, just my word. Could be a drifter, the deputy said, chewing a toothpick. Or some tweaker looking for an easy score. We'll patrol Route 71, but... He trailed off. Out here, but means you're on your own. I added floodlights, a deadbolt, a cheap trail cam by the shed. Days passed, quiet, normal. Then, last night, the cam pinged my phone, a still. 2:13 a.m., rain streaking the lens, and there, 50 yards out, a figure on a bike, headlight off, staring straight at the house. Same gear, same helmet, same hammer dangling from his hand. By the time I grabbed the shotgun and checked, he was gone. No tracks, no sound, just that image burned into my screen. Who is he? What does he want? I don't know. But I hear the rain starting again, and I'm waiting.